project by clicking on the icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
And welcome back into WTIM, your information station. Time for our final segment of the morning on our WTIM morning show. This one with Andrew Holsinger, the horticulture educator with the University of Illinois Extension. Thanks so much to our live stream sponsors, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark. Andrew, I feel like it's been a while. How has the summer been of horticulture this year?
Oh, it's been going. It's been pretty good.
Good. And we had some crazy hot temps. Now we're getting back into some nice cooler temps right now. How have the vegetables, how have the flowers been doing this year?
Well, the flowers have been doing well.
Yeah.
The tomatoes may have put on a little stop and go treatment because whenever the temperatures get hot, then your pollination kind of subsides and the plants are under stress. And so making sure you keep your vegetables watered throughout the season kind of evenly, then you can avoid some of that blossom end rot and other problems you can find whenever things don't get the water that they need. But then sometimes we get an influx of water, and so it's always a challenge in gardening to have that right balance of making sure your plants have enough water. Usually an inch a week is what's recommended for your vegetable garden. So having that rain gauge can help to make sure that you're getting adequate amount of, you got to balance it with the rainfall and how much you water. And so a lot of math here in horticulture during the summer.
Plenty of upkeep, plenty of effort all season long there, because your operations might change based on the temperature, on the precipitation. As you've been mentioning, this morning show is going to be filled of the tips and the information you need for your gardening, your horticulture this year. But before we get into all of those fun topics, we got other fun topics to talk about before. This one with the Master Gardeners, this upcoming event. Talk to me about this.
Yeah, the Christian County Master Gardeners have collaborated at times with the Taylorville Community Garden, and they're looking to offer a program with Lisa Peterson, our nutrition and wellness educator, to maximizing fresh produce year round. So they're going to have a demonstration of how to use the vegetables in your garden. Again, that's brought to you by the Christian County Master Gardeners on Wednesday, July 24th. It's going to be an evening program available from 5:30 to 6:30. So come out, get a tour of the Taylorville Community Garden, see how to put some of that produce to use that you may obtain from the community garden, and should be a good time for everyone.
Absolutely. From garden to table. I love the sound of this. If I was a gardener that really stayed away from food, I just like the way my perennials look. I'm trying to rack my brain for different types of plants right there. But the operations change quite a bit. If you're looking into doing zucchinis and tomatoes, you really have to attend this one to get a good look at that.
Well, the practices of vegetable gardening can be a little bit more intensive with the amount of pests that you have to treat for those pests. And there's always weed pulling, whether it's in a vegetable garden or a flower garden, it seems. So whenever I was in college, my major professor had kind of 3 classes. He had a choice for you it was either weeds or insects or diseases. So the problematic, he wanted to make sure at least you had some experience with that. And I think that's a good aspect to take in horticulture, is to make sure you focus on some of the problems that you may encounter and to educate yourself on some of that and use good integrated pest management practices to combat some of the issues that you have in your garden.
Absolutely. And there are common insects these days that people are aware of they're tomato killers, and it's good to be aware of those types of insects. Is that kind of true? You start to get to know what to look out for.
Well, it's important to know what insects are there. There's good insects and there's bad insects as far as pests. So we kind of forget sometimes about those beneficial insects, that the beneficial insects are keeping the pest in check. And so you may think of lady beetles. Well, they're ferocious at eating aphids. So if you have an aphid problem and you have lady beetles that are there, but if you spray insecticides, you may eliminate the lady beetles, and then you eliminate that natural predation of those aphids. And so sometimes you can have an explosion of the problem where you've applied insecticides, but you've killed both some of the negative ones and the beneficial insects, and then you have a greater problem because those populations aren't there to keep the ecosystem in balance.
Sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then just take a step away from the garden to table for 1 second. How has that spotted lanternfly been this summer? I know we talked about it last summer. Is it still prevailing out there?
It's still something to look out for. They have found it, I think, in the Chicago area. They found a sample of the spotted lanternfly. So always be on the lookout, especially during the summertime. We have activities like camping where we may be bringing firewood and transporting that. That's a way that we can transport insects. And so think about your use of firewood throughout the summer in your camping activities. And whenever you bring firewood into the home in the wintertime, you may have insects that are present. So just think about all the dynamics that we have whenever we're doing our daily lives and activities. The insects are among us. You might have, I don't know how many times I run into a cobweb with the spiders, but the spiders are there. They're helping to eat the insects. So some of the fear probably doesn't need to be for some of these insects because they're just part of the ecosystem and helping us out in the long run.
Totally. Yeah, it's a really good point to make there. We've been talking all about the Garden to Table. It's Master Gardeners program happening on Wednesday, July 24th, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Any final words on that, Andrew? It seems like a good one to attend.
There is a short URL, go.illinois.edu, Garden to Table. So register soon and we'll have a good idea of who's coming.
Yeah, get yourself registered for that. We're speaking right now with Andrew Holsinger, horticulture educator with the University of Illinois Extension. Now for another program here. This one seems pretty involved, pretty cool. Exploring Nature's Canvas. Talk to me about this.
Yeah, we like to offer this class for those that are interested in landscape design. I've got some interactive activities where you can do some thinking and some planning and put some of the design elements to practice. It's good to have that representation of what it's going to look like, but you have to do planning to get to that final stage of where you're going to be at in the final design. And so it is a process. And so we'll go through the steps of the process of landscape design. And it's not as complicated as you may think it is, but there is a lot of thought that goes into a landscape design to where you're avoiding the utilities that may be underground. All these things that you have to plan, you have to do an inventory to find out what is there, what you're working with, what mature plants, how large plants will get, and then you wrap that all up into a nice design, and then it's something that you can put to use and have actual fruition to your design and your planning.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought to create a blueprint if I was going to design my landscape there. I probably would have just started planting freestyle. I probably would have freestyle planted right there, and I would have hit a water line or some cables down there. This is really cool. You're gonna be able to lay it out almost like a blueprint in the picture on this on this release right here. It almost looks like, I'm not sure if that's what it's exactly going to look like, but you can map out your yard by feet. Is that right?
Yeah, you can put your yard to scale.
There we go.
And so you lay it out in a plan. Yeah. Some refer to these as master plans if you get real involved. Yeah. But you want to put it to scale, find out what your dimensions are of your existing features, map out your home, your driveway, the other components of your landscape, and then you can put those plants and their dimensions in. And well, how many plants am I going to for the area? I'm going to go to the store. I'll know exactly what to buy, and then I'll be able to have
reasons that you would want to know where to dig before you dig with utilities and stuff. But is there a sequence or a pattern that people should follow for the best quality garden that they could have success in their plants? You don't want to be planting a tall tree next to a small plant, I'm sure. You talk about those types of topics.
Yeah, there's a lot of thought that goes into plants near a driveway when you're trying to back up or get out of your driveway. You got to have a field of vision to where you have a clear understanding. So you got to think about your plant height. So a lot of dynamics whenever it comes into planting the landscape, but it's some have your planting and you have a good approach to go after.
Absolutely. The aspects that I totally have not thought about there. We've all seen those sidewalks that are beginning to buckle and come up a little bit because those tree roots are wreaking havoc down below. So all those things are super important things to consider. Final words with the URL where people can go to sign up for this one.
So that short URL is go.illinois.edu/cc landscape design.
Easy.
And that's going to take place here in Christian County at our extension office, 1120 North Webster Street here in Taylorville.
The horticulture educator with the University of Illinois Extension. So many great topics covered in that first segment. We got more when we come back. You're listening to the WTIM Morning Show.
Your information station, WTIM.
Let's check markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn, beans, and wheat all trading lower. September corn down 6.5, 391.5. December corn down 6, 405 3/4. March corn 419.5, down 5.5. August beans 1096.5, down 3/4. September beans down 3/4, 1037.5. New crop November 1039, down 2 pennies. September wheat 536 3/4, down 2.5. December wheat down 2 pennies, 561.5. August bean meal 340.30, that's up $1.20. August bean oil 45.81, down 40 cents. Livestock market, August feeders 257.87, down 67 cents. August live cattle down 55 cents, 183.72. August lean hogs 91.42, down 22 cents. Energy market, August crude oil 82.48, down 37 cents. Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network.
It's the 100th anniversary of the Christian County Ag Fair, featuring the importance of agriculture, July 16th through the 20th. And the Miller Media Group will be there to cover it all. Our coverage includes interviewing 4-H'ers in the culinary show and animal show rings during the WTIM morning show that week. Plus, 3-minute reports on show days at WMKR, Genuine Country 94.3, WRIN Groovy 97.3, New Country 104.1, and 96.5, thechill.com. And live coverage from Young America Day and the Car Show Saturday, July 20th. Tune into these Miller Media Group radio stations for extensive coverage. Plus, read the complete results of judging by clicking the Christian County Fair results icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. All brought to you by our title sponsor, Apex Clean Energy, growing a better future for local farmers and landowners in our local communities, along with NextEra Energy Resources, investing in a sustainable future. The First National Bank in Taylorville, Specialized Hearing Solutions, Central Commodity FS, University of Illinois Extension Christian County, and Landmark of Taylorville, all in Taylorville.
Hi, I'm Rob Sharkey. I'm a fifth-generation farmer from just outside of Bradford, Illinois. And whether I'm traveling the country asking people what they know about agriculture, or I'm right here in my very own soybean field, I don't have the time, and I sure don't have the patience to figure out the politics, to figure out new markets, to wade through the new regulations. That's why I'm more than happy to be a member of the Illinois soybean growers. They got my back, so I can grow these.
Become an ISG member at ilsoy.org/membership.
This is Megan Lopez with Nesty's Burger Joint on the south side of the Taylorville Square. To see our menu, click on our icon on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
This is Shawless Nagel, Executive Director at Kimmer Village in Assumption. To learn more about our services, click on our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome back into WTIM, your information station. Time for our final segment of the WTIM morning show. We've been speaking all with Andrew Holsinger, horticulture educator with the University of Illinois Extension. Thanks so much to our live stream sponsors, and thanks so much to everyone tuning in this morning. People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark. We're streaming live on YouTube at WTIM TV and on Facebook at Taylorville Daily News. With Andrew Holsinger in that first half, we talked about some great upcoming programs. The first with the Master Gardening gardeners from garden to table, maximizing fresh produce year round. That's coming up Wednesday, July 24th from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. And we talked a little bit about the Exploring Nature's Canvas, a landscape design class there. All was just really important stuff to know before starting your landscaping venture right there. So, Andrew, we haven't talked since the cicada invasion. It seems like we are on the back half. We survived it, but your initial thoughts on this whole thing? Did we overreact a little bit?
Maybe a little bit.
Okay. That's fair enough. I felt like I saw those giant piles of cicadas, and I said that these cannot be good for the trees.
Well, they weren't too detrimental to the trees. You will see some flagging where the insect laid its eggs into the branches of these tree limbs. And so then after those eggs hatch, then they turn into nymphs. They burrow back into the soil. They feed on roots. Then you got a little bit of a wait before we'll see those periodical cicadas again, 13, 17 years. It does take a while for those to reemerge and start all over again.
Sure.
But in the meanwhile, we have the annual cicadas that are on their frequent. We see them. They have a different coloration. They're kind of a camouflage colors of green and black, and they just have a different look. But they come out annually, same kind of process of they shed their exoskeleton, and they still can do some laying eggs into tree limbs. And so we get kind of a double dose this year because we had the periodical cicadas, the annual cicadas. But the annual cicadas have a little bit of a control measure for them called the cicada killer, which is kind of a wasp. Can be a large looking wasp, but they don't really pose a threat unless you were to approach them, pick them up, really handle them. They're not going to sting you. They do have a stinger, but the stinger is used for parasitizing the cicadas. So the females, after they mate, they find the cicadas sometimes in mid-flight, snatch those up, sting them, paralyze them, take them back to the nest, lay an egg inside the cicada. The egg hatches. The larvae eat the paralyzed, still alive cicada from the inside out. So probably think of a horror movie. It's pretty close to that whenever you have these cicada killers. But there's other wasps that do the same thing. You may find you don't like the tomato hornworms, but you might find these white eggs on their back, and that's because another wasp has laid its eggs on and taken control of the tomato hornworms. And so if you find those tomato hornworms with a bunch of white bumps on the back, those are eggs, and that's from that parasitic wasp that's parasitized the tomato hornworm. So it's all a balance of the ecosystem and just a fascinating thing. There's a lot to learn about wasps and bees, and they're all a part of it.
It's amazing the nature that is happening around us that we just have no idea. These mini battles and wars being fought between the cicadas and the wasps, and like you said, this is truly the stuff of horror films. the operation they go through yearly. That's the annual. That's the normal thing for wasps to do every year.
Yep.
It's just unbelievable there. So it's good to hear that the periodical cicada time didn't do too much damage to our trees right there. But maybe the smaller ones, if you didn't protect properly, they could maybe have some problems if they got attacked bad.
They could have, it's if you have a branch and it has damage to it where the branch is going to have dieback, it's hopefully not a main leader of your tree that is affected, because if your main leader of the tree is affected, then you got to find a new leader. And so it's not that the tree may survive. Shrubs aren't a big problem because you have lots of branching, but when you have that single leader tree that you're relying on that leader to carry the structure and the form of the tree, that's when it gets a little bit wearisome for having cicada damage to that apex of the tree. But life will go on. We'll plant more trees. There'll be more trees to plant. We'll have another Arbor Day. There'll be plenty of opportunity to plant trees, but usually the advice is to think about your tree planting during these times when those periodical cicadas emerge.
Perfect. We learned a whole lot with Andrew Holsinger today, horticulture educator with the University of Illinois Extension. Andrew, we're out of time, but thank you for taking the time being here with us today.
Always great.
Absolutely. Andrew Holsinger, horticulture educator once again with the U of I Extension. Great morning show with him. And head to go.illinois.edu for all those events.
Yep.
Perfect. This has been the WTIM morning show right here on WTIM, your information station.
The Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville, 96.1 W241 CF Taylorville, 107.5 W298 CD Shelbyville, 107.9